What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Down the Middle. We are back. We took a little hiatus because mostly my fault, actually totally my fault. I was on trips for work and vacations. I am back. I have a very queasy stomach from just eating and drinking anything. And I'm excited to be back. We've got a lot of big things that we're doing with the podcast here in the future. We're, as you can see, we got a new set. We got a lot of cool things happening here in the future. But today we want to talk about something positive, which is summer hits. You've got Los here with Max, and we're talking about things that we are watching right now on television or we want to watch on television and movies. So let's start with number one, which is the Elvis movie and Elvis in general.
Yeah, I want to we'll see that so bad. We're when you have a kid, like at Quinn's age, you're limited. We used to go to the movies all the time, Larissa and I, like big movie fans.
Same.
And now it's like we get, kind of one date day a week.
Right.
And we got to be very selective with what we do in that day, right? And if I had my way, it'd be just like we go to the movies every Friday, but like we have other stuff to do, right? So we get to see like one movie every 2-3 months, maybe.
Yeah.
And we had seen Top Gun. That was the last one we saw. But then Elvis came out. And yeah, I mean, it looks amazing just because
that dude did a
Austin,
killer job.
but like how good of a job he's done living that character.
Yeah.
Like he spent literally 2 years. Like if you see him out on the talk shows,
I have.
he sounds, that's who he is. Like he's literally lived it and breathed it. That's all he did.
Yeah, he went full method actor.
Which you have to. Like to play that role, like the most iconic pop star, musician, rock star. I mean,
of all time.
Whatever you want to call him, like of all time. Like it is unreal, that responsibility.
Yeah.
You got to be, I mean, I can't imagine like taking that role on. It's got to be the most exciting thing in the world, but then like once you get it, it's like, crap, now I got to do it.
I heard it was a 10-minute standing ovation at Cannes or one of those.
One of the film festivals?
Yeah. That's insane. And I mean, I think he's obviously going to win an Oscar. Like, and if he doesn't, he's going to get, everyone will just want it for him. But yeah, man, like it's crazy. It looks, and it's one of the dope kind of like biography movies that you have to do it right, and I think they just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, and then I went down the rabbit hole, right, of
who is it? Who was Elvis?
Yeah, because everyone Elvis. Like everyone knows Elvis,
right?
And there's crazy stats, right? I think one of the stats I saw was there's 300,000 registered Elvis Presley impersonators in the world.
Wow,
like it's hard to fathom, right? Like 300,000, not just fans. Right. Most people would be happy with like, I have 300,000 diehard fans.
Right.
But it's 300,000 people that are such big fans that like what they do for a living, or at least part-time, is like they dress up like you, go outside and like take pictures as you.
Yeah.
It's hard to fathom like how big of a star you need to be for that to happen.
Yeah.
You go to chapels in Vegas, you get married by Elvis. It's such an iconic part of culture around the world.
Yeah.
For everybody. And so I went down the rabbit hole of like, learning more about him. And it's sad, man. Like it's anytime you see mega stars, it's like impossible. Rogan talks a lot about this of like kid stars or people that get really, really famous, really young. Like that level of fame, like Elvis fame, you can't be normal. There's no way that you're going to live to like 85, kind of retire, like live a normal life.
Right.
I feel like that's the only way that type of life goes, is the way his life went, which is he just became, horribly addicted to drugs. He had a doctor on staff that just went with him, just fed him pills. He was like crazy into food. He ate he was super obese when he died.
Yeah. I obviously don't know too much about it, but I remember him being like the biggest like sex icon on the planet, and then kind of just turned into like a Babe Ruth looking dude. It
was sad because he was like towards the end he got forced to tour by the manager, right? That guy that was the Tom Hanks plays in the movie, like forced him to keep going out because he was a cash cow, and he was just, I mean, he looked terrible. He was like 200 pounds overweight, wearing that spandex outfit, like sweating. And I was watching, if you watch, there's a clip because they recorded his last tour, because I think they probably knew, like his manager, people like, this is like, he's not going to last much longer. So they recorded the whole thing. And the last song he ever did on stage, like halfway through, he just starts forgetting the words, and he's like giggling to himself and like just saying gibberish, like starts talking. And it's like sad to think like you are one of the most iconic musicians, entertainers of all time. And like, this is the last thing you did. It's like those athletes that like just
keep
don't know when to
fighting,
retire.
they keep doing the thing. And
Even like Serena Williams lost in the first round, right? Of the US Open or Wimbledon or whatever's just happening.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how you, and this deviates from the topic a little bit, but like, that's a tough one. Like, how do you know when to retire?
Especially when you were so on top. I mean, we are deviating, but I watch a lot of fighting, and like I've seen people that are just champions 2, 3, 4, 5 year winning streaks, right? Like you can't touch them. And then they're just getting thrown to the young wolves and just getting slammed like first round knockouts. And they keep going and going. You're like, man, like it sucks as a fan because you're seeing somebody like, man, if you would have just hung it up, you could have been in like the conversation of top of all time, right? But now 4, 5, 6 more fights, 4, 5, 6 more years of you just getting your ass whooped, you're just a fighter now. It goes so much lower, you know. How did so I don't know too much about Elvis, but how did Elvis was he an alcoholic? Did he die from that? Like what happened?
It was, I believe it was all kinds of pills. So I don't think I think he drank, but I think it was a lot of it was like, I'm sure opiates and barbiturates and all that kind of stuff. It seemed to be that was more of his thing based on the fact that he had a doctor that was basically traveling with him everywhere and just prescribing him whatever he needed to get prescribed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks, man. Yeah, but I'm excited about watching that movie. A few other things that I've watched recently, I'm a huge fan of, and I think this is, you know, Netflix is going down. I think Netflix is going down because they just they have like two models, right? They could be HBO Max and just bring the heat, or they just have all these fillers and bullcrap, and they just, most of the stuff on Netflix, like it's so daunting to try to search for something unless you know it's there. Yeah. But my two favorite things is one, it's not as big as Stranger Things, which I'll talk about second, but number one is for me, Umbrella Academy.
Oh, it's great.
Dude, Umbrella Academy, I think is one of the best written, dopest shows on TV, definitely Netflix. I mean, it sucks too, like, and this is what I mean, but like, instead of doing all these crap shows, double down and like do 2 seasons. You know how like in CW and like back in the day when you had like TV, you'd get some people would be like, all right, this is like a 12 episoder, but then they'd just double down and end up being 2 seasons, almost like 24 in a year.
Oh
right? Yeah. People would just keep subscriptions for that. I mean, that's why I keep the HBO one, right? And I'll talk about HBO too, because HBO just relaunched Westworld, which was pretty good, but it's such a confusing show. But
Westworld,
but then also, then you've got Stranger Things, which I think is, I mean, it's the most viral show that has happened. And it's dope because you see the transition of like when they started, second season, third, and now it's like, it's movies. It's like every episode is like a freaking journey. It's a movie. The last 2 episodes were just, the production is like, if you watch that in a theater, dude, it's a Marvel level.
Oh yeah. The last episode was 2 hours and 20 minutes, I think.
The one before that was 125.
Yeah. So basically every episode this entire season was almost a movie length. But the last 2 were, yeah, I mean, those were full length feature films. Right. And I'm sure they had feature film budgets.
For sure.
For all the special effects and everything. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah. I mean, that show is amazing. I'm stoked. I was a big, man, I don't know if I want to watch this thing, but now like totally hooked on it. It's cool because like my daughter watches it too. So like we have like that in common and stuff, and we're getting lower to, I'm rewatching the whole thing because I think I'll miss a lot of points and stuff. So I'm excited to watch that again. And then on a movie theater situation, have you seen Top Gun?
Oh yeah, Top Gun. That was the one when we saw a movie. Yeah. That was it was, you know, Jurassic World. There's a few movies that were out that we were looking at, and we decided to see Top Gun mainly because it's like that's the type of movie to see in a theater.
He even said
that, right? The sound and the film, just the visuals of it. And John, like whatever you think of Tom Cruise as a human, as a whatever, like even as an actor, it's like that guy. He has some magical thing. Like we can talk about religion and stuff maybe in another episode, in Scientology and that whole thing. But like the fact that Tom Cruise doesn't age makes you think Scientology's onto something. There's some magic serum that they have in you know, St. Pete, Tampa, the Clearwater area, that he flies in and they just inject him with something.
He physically looks better.
I don't get it.
It's nuts. There's memes about like how the Top Gun cast, you know, got older. this dude looks, I mean, way better. Obviously, he got his teeth done. There was one like he had his messed up teeth or whatever. But man, like he looks our age. I don't. How old is he?
He's got to be 60.
50, 60.
No, he's got to be in the 60s.
Bro.
We're going to pull it up.
We have to Google it. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look 40. And if you want to push it, let's call it 40 even. Dude's definitely 55 to 60.
He is 6 years old.
Wow.
6 years old, born July 3rd, 1962. That is, if he was born July 4th, that'd be perfect. America's superhero born July 4th.
That's why there's so many conspiracy theories of Scientologists, because like all of them look like so amazing. You know, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, they're like putting the blood of children's in like their face or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Something's definitely going on, because to look like that at that age, it's more than just Botox.
Bro, Val, so I don't know which camera we can cut to here. We got to pull up, when we edit this, we'll have when the team pull up the Val Kilmer's
Before
photo.
and afters.
No. So Val Kilmer's 62. So they're almost the same age.
Right.
So this is Val Kilmer.
Oh my God.
This is Val Kilmer. And no offense, I love
He
Val
looks like
Kilmer.
an old lady.
He's great. Yeah, it looks like an old lady. And then this is Tom Cruise.
Wow.
Now again, this could have been a few years ago. It looks pretty recent. Yeah, this is from Top Gun, his like press conference. Yeah.
He looks the same. Maybe like 7 more wrinkles.
Yeah, he's got a few more wrinkles.
A few.
A few. But then it's a combination of the fact that he looks great, but his ability to do all these insane stunts, because he does them all.
Yeah.
He like insists on doing them all. And if you watch, I saw some behind the scenes stuff with like Miles Teller and the younger cast.
Right.
And they were like the boot camp that Tom Cruise insisted that they all do was insane. They did like, you know, for the Navy SEALs and stuff, they'll do like underwater, like you're trapped in a helicopter cockpit and you have to get out, like all kinds of crazy stuff. They did all that. There's videos of them like in a cockpit and like it drops underwater and they're all strapped in and they have to get out and like get out of the cockpit.
Yeah.
And that's his idea. He's like, I think we should do this. We need to get really prepped.
I wonder where he's been too. I mean, what's the last movie he did?
It's a good question. I don't know when there's last Mission Impossible, but I feel like he's been in something
5-6 years almost.
Because the next one, there's a 2-parter. So the next Mission Impossible is 2 parts and that's coming out.
Yeah.
But what's wild, this stat was crazy to me. This was the first movie that he's done that's done over $1 billion at the box office.
I think it's a second highest grossing movie of all time, right? Or maybe even first.
For him?
No, in general, like it blew up.
For opening weekend, maybe. I'm not sure, because I still think it's like all the Marvel stuff and Avatar.
I'll search.
Yeah, see where it is on the list. But it's but the fact that it was his first $1 billion movie is crazy, because I assumed he'd already done some. Like, because you think about all his like his kind of pedigree, his track record, he's done some massive movies. But yeah, it's wild watching him do these scenes and just like, I'm only 32, but I have arthritis and stuff going on. Like, I feel like I'm less mobile than he is. Like, some of the stuff that he's doing is just wild. And it'll be interesting to see how long he goes. Because some of these guys, what happens is like they make it to like 60 something and then they get hit real hard. Like, you see him 1 month and it's like all of a sudden it's like all the aging caught up to them. But I don't know. It's that Scientology, something's going on in that Scientology center that's keeping him.
It's the highest of 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
But it could end up in the top 20 list potentially, especially international.
It's Avatar. Avatar's still number 1.
Which is insane.
Avatar, Avengers, Endgame, Titanic, Star Wars Episode 7 or 4, whatever. The Force Awakens, and then it's not near.
Yeah, well, it still has. I mean, it's only been out for
right.
So it's still got a great track record. Do you think? So there's a lot of like people are on the fence about like Avatar, the next one being like the first one was such a phenomenon, like because it was just revolutionary in terms of the technology and all the stuff that went into it. Right, James Cameron had to wait years and years and years to make it for the technology to catch up.
Right,
and there wasn't really like any expectations. Obviously, there was hype starting to go into it, but like there wasn't nobody expected it to be the highest grossing movie of all time.
Right.
Now there's been like, 10 more years have gone by and now it's like so much hype.
Right.
Like, I'm curious, like, I think it'll crush. I think it'll do amazing, but there is it's like, I feel like there's a lot more pressure for these ones than there was the first one.
Yeah, I think it's going to crush. I think that the technology will be good, and the biggest thing is the storyline's going to be fire. Like they've taken enough time to where that I don't think he's going to miss on that. You know, did you watch the new Jurassic Park?
We haven't seen that one yet.
I've heard horrible things. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, dude, I like a lot of movies that get destroyed on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Critics to me are the worst critics for movies because like the Morbius movie, everyone hated it. I thought it was all right. I mean, I'm not going to go be like, man, that Jared Leto should have won an Oscar, but like you're watching a movie about a dude who became a vampire, right? Like it's a character development movie at the end of the day. Like there's not a lot of big fight scenes and a lot of stuff. So like it's hard to do those things. Like everyone judges movies so aggressively. Like they're the critics. Like, dude, you know. I think I'm excited to watch Jurassic Park. I love dinosaurs.
This is the thing. It's you got to go. There needs to be like different levels of reviews,
right?
Like you shouldn't go in reviewing a Jurassic World or Jurassic Park movie with the same standards as you're reviewing an Oscar contender,
right?
Because they're not meant to be. It's like most people when they go into when I go to see a Jurassic World movie, I don't expect it to win any awards or have really smart dialogue or really smart plot.
I go into exploding and dinosaurs eating stuff for 2 hours.
I want to see giant dinosaurs eating other dinosaurs or people for 2 hours or so.
Yes.
And cool special effects, and that's it.
Right.
And if it's got the corniest I don't care.
I expect it.
Yeah. That should be its thing.
Right.
So there needs to be like the new class Rotten Tomato. This is like the action class where it's just like nobody has any expectations.
Yeah. I call them airplane movies, right? Like there's something that I want to like, is this an hour and a half to 2 hours? That's my flight. Oh, dope. I can do nothing but watch that. I'm in, like simple.
Yeah. Especially the last thing I'll say here is like as when you're a new parent, especially that first year where you're kind of just like, you're playing stuff in the background all the time. You really start to appreciate all those like B-level movies.
Yes.
Because they're just background movies that I can throw on. And it's like, it's entertaining. I'll get some laughs.
And you can watch
action.
It. Yeah, it doesn't have curse and stuff. Like you can play it around in your house. Yes, those movies are perfect. Like I watch more of those movies now because I can't watch, things that I'm really wanting to engage in at home. And if I do, like it's late at night, Laura hates she doesn't hate watching movies, but like you stick her in a movie and you start turning the lights off, good night.
Yeah.
Like it's a wrap.
You can't pay attention.
Yeah, like she's gone. So we watch more shows and stuff like that. A new show that we're about to start watching, I have not watched it. I've heard very good stuff. I kind of like miss Game of Thrones and all that kind of stuff. So we heard about The Kingdom. I know it already exists. Like it's got a lot of seasons. So I'm excited about doing potentially reviews on that one because I want to watch something that has like a nice 6 seasons and I don't have to go chase a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, you need to have a lot of seasons. I mean, that's a whole genre, right? It's like the Office Ladies, what Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsley had done with that show. It's like they're bigger than ever. They're up there now with Steve Carell in terms of like popularity because that podcast, it's the #1 podcast in the world for the last 2 years.
No way.
They won last year. They won for was iHeartRadio or one of the big. It's like their podcast of the year award. They won, which is brilliant. So you take the most popular TV show probably in the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah, it's
and then you do
them.
The podcast where every episode you just cover an episode and they give an insider look on it, and it's like absolutely blowing up. Now they're doing a book tour,
revive it.
But they just did Peacock literally yesterday released what they've been doing, which is smart because they got the rights back to The Office. Initially, it was on Netflix for years.
Yeah.
And they took it, which is smart because they got that much more popular on Netflix. So all these younger generation got on it, and now on Peacock to like make people want to sign up for it. They release these Superfan seasons. So every like month or two, they've rolled out like season 1 extended. So every episode has an extra 10, 15 minutes of bloopers and things that weren't in the show.
Yeah.
So they just released the 5th season, Superfan. And so it's the end, like each episode has all kinds of stuff like that's never been in the show before, which is a great way to get people to like, that's why I signed up for it.
Yeah.
Was mainly to have, that.
Yeah. I've been watching on Peacock the new Fresh Prince, which is dark.
I've heard about that.
That's kind of good.
Yeah.
Like I like the twist because they couldn't have made it. They couldn't have done another funny Will Smith. They would have bombed. But it's completely dark. Like Carlton's a cokehead, and like the family like fights, and there's like OnlyFans stuff, and then like it's like influencers. Like it's relatable to today. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool. But yeah, guys, so that's going to wrap up today. We're back. We're excited. We've got a whole new studio coming, bunch of good things. We got new guests. We're going to be doing a lot of new things for you guys on Down the Middle. We're actually leaving after this to go kind of like set up what we're going to be doing here. More episodes, more content, more great stuff. Its own new channel and everything. So we're going to keep you guys apprised of that. We're probably going to have an actual competition once we launch everything to get more subscribers, get more people, and hopefully at one point even start doing these Down the Middle lives for you guys. So you guys want to see something, DM me or Max at Los Hustle, at Max Finn, and we will get in touch with you guys and we'll start creating content that you guys want to see. So that is it for myself. That's it for Max. Please share, like, and subscribe. And we will see you guys on the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye.